Right now, you are likely sitting inside of a highly volatile, highly leveraged financial asset.
Yeah, but chances are you're treating it like a comfortable couch.
Exactly. I mean, we just have this tendency to view residential real estate through a very, emotional, static lens.
Oh, for sure. You
Well,
buy the house, you move your furniture in, and you just kind of forget about the mechanics of the market.
right, until the day you finally decide to pack up your boxes and leave. But today, we are tearing down that illusion. Welcome to the deep dive, where our mission is to extract the absolute most crucial, actionable intelligence from a new brief titled Strategic Insights for Homeowners in a Rising Market.
It's a really fascinating piece of analysis.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this because if you look at the raw data right now, the market is shifting under our feet.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
And ignoring those shifts is just a massive financial misstep for you, whether you are planning to list your property tomorrow or you have zero intention of moving for the next 10 years.
Yeah, that is a critical distinction to make right at the top. I mean, the baseline reality here is that the market is objectively accelerating.
Right.
Compared to this exact time last year, buyer activity has surged. We are seeing a measurable uptick in scheduled showings. The volume of inquiries is higher, and search behaviors are becoming noticeably more aggressive.
Wow. Okay.
But, and we have to establish a hard boundary immediately, there is a massive fundamental difference between a busy market and a guaranteed payout for a seller.
You know, the data on that increased activity, it immediately made me think of a crowded retail store.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. Imagine walking past like a high-end boutique at the mall. You look through the glass and the floor is absolutely packed. Massive foot traffic.
Right, everyone's in there.
Yeah. People are picking up the merchandise. They are asking the staff highly specific questions, trying things on. But I mean, conversion is the only metric that actually matters in retail, just like it is in real estate. So, does a store full of foot traffic automatically mean the cash registers are ringing? I have to challenge this premise a bit.
Sure.
Does a spike in questions and searches actually translate to a stronger, more profitable market? Or, are we just looking at a massive influx of window shoppers who are casually browsing listings because the weather is getting warmer?
Well, the window shopper effect is a very real phenomenon, and questioning the conversion rate is exactly the right analytical approach here.
Okay.
What's fascinating here is that the paradox of the rising market is driven precisely by that dynamic.
Right.
Overall demand is undeniably stronger than it was 12 months ago.
Right.
But treating the real estate market as a single monolithic entity is a fatal flaw for any homeowner. A rising tide does not actually lift all boats in this environment.
So it's not just one big wave.
No, not at all. The data shows that transaction behavior varies wildly because real estate operates entirely as a collection of hyper-local micro-markets.
Oh, interesting. So we aren't talking about, quote unquote, the real estate market as some grand national indicator.
No.
We are talking about thousands of distinct microscopic ecosystems. Like, my specific street might be experiencing a completely different reality than a neighborhood just 3 miles away, even if the city's overall macro demand is surging.
Precisely. Micro-markets are dictated by incredibly granular factors.
Like what?
Well, it could come down to a specific school district boundary, or a recent zoning change, or even just the architectural style of a specific block.
Wow, that is granular.
Yeah. And because of that hyperlocal variation, sellers who rely on national headlines about, high demand and assume they hold all the leverage, they're walking into a trap.
Because they're confusing the macro with the micro.
Exactly. The sheer volume of people walking through the door has increased. But the psychology of those specific buyers is what dictates the actual conversion rate.
Which brings us to the psychology of this demographic, right? The analysis doesn't just categorize these buyers as numerous or aggressive. It categorizes them as selective.
Yes, highly selective.
And this introduces what I look at as the selective buyer paradox. Higher overall market demand is actually resulting in fewer concessions from the buyers themselves.
Right, they aren't settling.
Yeah, they know what they want, and they just refuse to compromise. The higher demand does not equal a quick, effortless sale, and it certainly doesn't guarantee top dollar just for participating.
The selective buyer is the absolute defining characteristic of this current cycle. I mean, they have high intent, but they also have remarkably high expectations.
So how do you actually reach them?
To capture that intent, sellers must deliver on 3 non-negotiable pillars. First, the home must be priced correctly. Second, it must be presented well. And third, it must be marketed effectively.
Okay, all three?
Yeah. If a property fails on even one of those pillars, the increased foot traffic you mentioned earlier yields absolutely zero financial return.
Okay, let me push back on that, specifically on the mechanics of those pillars.
Sure, go ahead.
If inventory is still relatively tight and buyer demand is aggressively rising, basic economics suggests the seller holds the cards, right?
On paper, maybe?
So why does a seller have to jump through hoops with like effective marketing or immaculate presentation for a product that people are actively fighting over?
Whoa.
I mean, shouldn't a prepared seller just be able to stick a sign in the yard listed at a premium and let the selective buyers bid each other up?
That assumes the buyer is operating from a place of desperation.
And they aren't.
They are not. The selective buyer is discerning. Increased buyer activity does not create an automatic transaction. It creates an opportunity.
Ah.
And capturing an opportunity requires rigorous preparation.
Hmm.
Let's break down the mechanics of why those pillars matter so much. Take pricing, for example.
Okay.
Selective buyers have access to the exact same granular, hyperlocal data that real estate professionals do.
Right, everyone has the apps now.
Exactly. So if a home is priced based on a neighbor's sale from, say, 8 months ago, rather than today's hyperlocal micro-market reality, the buyer instantly recognizes the discrepancy and just moves on. They don't even bother negotiating.
Oh, wow, they just bypass it entirely. And I imagine presentation functions the same way. A selective buyer in a high-leverage environment isn't going to do the mental heavy lifting to imagine a home's potential.
No, they don't want a project.
Right. They aren't going to look past a dated kitchen or a poorly staged living room and like calculate the renovation ROI in their head. They want the value fully realized and visible the second they walk through the door.
Exactly. Presentation is about eliminating risk in the buyer's mind. And that ties directly into the third pillar, which is effective marketing.
Because you have to get them in the door first.
Right. In a hyperlocal ecosystem, blanket marketing is highly inefficient. Putting a sign in the yard or throwing it on a digital aggregator just isn't enough anymore.
So what is enough?
Effective marketing today means highly targeted exposure. You have to reach the specific demographic of selective buyers looking for the exact asset profile your micromarket offers.
That makes a lot of sense.
The prepared seller understands that they are not just selling a structure, they are marketing a highly specific lifestyle to a highly discerning audience.
So they are willing to deploy their capital, but they expect the product and the pitch to match their level of investment.
Exactly.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because everything we just discussed is highly tactical for someone looking to sell right now.
Right.
But the analysis makes a very sharp pivot here. It asserts that understanding the psychology of the selective buyer and the mechanics of the rising market is actually most valuable for the demographic that usually ignores real estate news entirely.
Yep. People who aren't moving.
Right, people who aren't moving.
It is arguably the most critical insight in the entire analysis.
Yeah.
The exact same macro and micro forces that are dictating the success or failure of active sellers are silently, constantly recalibrating the net worth of every single homeowner.
Okay, let's contextualize this for the listener. You are sitting in your living room right now, you love the house, your mortgage rate is locked in, and you have like zero intention of moving for the next decade.
A very common scenario.
Right. From a strictly operational standpoint, you are out of the game. So how does knowing the current temperature of the housing market or understanding the granular demands of a selective buyer fundamentally alter your financial behavior today?
Because you cannot optimize a financial strategy when a massive percentage of your net worth is an unmeasured variable.
Oh, wow. That's a great way to put it.
The core issue here is the velocity of unmanaged equity. Knowing how your home's value is fluctuating in real time within your specific micromarket is a foundational piece of your broader financial footprint.
So it's not just a hypothetical number.
Not at all. Whether you are analyzing your debt-to-income ratios, considering a home equity line of credit for other investments, or calibrating a long-term retirement strategy, that equity figure is the bedrock.
Right.
If you don't know exactly how the current local conditions are pricing your asset today, you're essentially flying blind.
You are operating on outdated assumptions. It's like trying to balance a stock portfolio using ticker prices from 3 years ago.
Yes.
It's financial negligence. And what really stands out in the brief is the velocity of that change. We aren't talking about slow generational wealth accumulation here.
No, not at all.
Homeowners are consistently shocked to discover just how radically their property's valuation has shifted in a highly compressed time frame, often in just the past 12 months.
Yeah, the 12-month surprise is a very common phenomenon right now.
Why is it happening so fast?
Well, it happens because a property's value is not a static number that just drifts upward with inflation. It is a highly dynamic figure being pushed and pulled by distinct drivers.
Okay.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we can categorize these drivers into two dual forces of value. You have internal factors and external factors.
The stock portfolio analogy actually holds up perfectly here.
Oh, totally.
If you hold a block of shares in a company, the value of that holding is influenced by internal management, like how efficiently the company is run, the new products they launch, their profit margins. That's entirely within the company's control. But the stock is equally influenced by external factors, right? Macroeconomic trends, interest rate hikes, geopolitical shifts, or just how the broader sector is performing.
Exactly.
A residential property operates on those exact same dual tracks.
It maps perfectly. The internal force represents the active management of the asset. These are the physical improvements and strategic upgrades a homeowner executes to increase market appeal.
Like remodeling.
Yeah, modernizing the layout, replacing the roof, upgrading the HVAC system. You are actively engineering the internal value of your asset to eventually meet the strict criteria of that selective buyer we discussed earlier.
So you control the capital allocation for the internal improvements.
Right.
But the external force is completely out of your hands. The analysis identifies this as changing neighborhood trends. This is the macro environment of your hyper-local micro-market.
Yes, the things you can't control.
Right. It's the new commercial development 3 streets over. It's the shifting demographics of the school district. It's, the sudden influx of remote workers fleeing a more expensive adjacent city.
And those external neighborhood trends dictate the multiplier effect of your internal improvements.
Oh, a multiplier effect. Okay, break that down.
This is where that 12-month surprise originates. If you pour capital into upgrading your kitchen, which is an internal improvement, but your external micromarket is stagnating, your return on investment is severely capped.
You just won't get the money back.
Right. Conversely, if your neighborhood is suddenly highly desirable because of an external infrastructure shift, that exact same kitchen upgrade is suddenly amplified. It generates a significantly higher yield.
Wow, so they multiply each other.
They do.
And because you have absolutely zero control over the external trends, the only strategic response is active observation,
They have to monitor the ecosystem.
which creates a very practical operational problem. If we acknowledge that these dual forces are constantly colliding and violently shifting a home's value, and we acknowledge that tracking this value is a non-negotiable requirement for baseline financial health, how do we actually measure it?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right, because Zillow estimates and national algorithms are notoriously terrible at pricing in hyperlocal external trends. The analysis suggests a professional home valuation, but that carries a lot of friction.
It carries massive friction because the industry has traditionally weaponized the valuation process as a lead generation tool for listings.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for the homeowner who just wants the data? Here is my issue with this. Getting a valuation feels like a trap.
I hear that a lot.
If I'm not planning to sell, requesting a professional valuation feels like inviting a salesman into my living room to pressure me to list my house.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
I don't want someone sitting on my couch drinking my coffee, giving me a high-pressure sales pitch just because I want to mark-to-market my own financial asset.
Well, the analysis explicitly redefines the mechanism of the valuation to bypass that exact friction.
Oh, it does? How?
It strips away all the traditional sales baggage and repositions the valuation purely as a data-gathering exercise. It is an updated, rigorous market analysis based strictly on today's hyper-local micro-market conditions. And the critical operative phrase they use is no obligation.
So we treat it strictly as a financial calibration.
Exactly.
Like marking an illiquid private equity asset to market at the end of the fiscal year. You need the baseline data to prove the thesis, but you aren't liquidating the fund.
Precisely. It is a low-stakes, high-leverage method for understanding your exact positioning within a fluctuating local landscape.
I like that.
Think of it like a routine blood panel or a stress test with your cardiologist.
Ah, that's a good way to look at it.
You don't only measure your cardiovascular health when you are on the verge of a heart attack, right?
Right, that would be a little late.
Yeah. You measure it regularly to establish a baseline, to track the velocity of any changes, and to optimize your lifestyle accordingly before a crisis forces your hand.
That is the exact shift in mindset required. You are calibrating your net worth based on real, hyperlocal data, taking the emotion out of the asset, and just looking at the math of how your internal improvements and the external neighborhood trends have collided over the last year.
Yes.
And because buyer demand is robust and highly selective, the delta between what you assume your home is worth and what the micromarket dictates it is worth could provide you with financial leverage you didn't even realize you had access to.
It transforms the homeowner from a passive spectator hoping for appreciation into an active manager of their own equity.
We have dissected some incredibly dense mechanics today. We started by looking at the paradox of a rising market, massive foot traffic, and increased showings that don't automatically guarantee a conversion.
Right.
We broke down the psychology of the selective buyer who leverages their demand to enforce the 3 pillars of correct pricing, flawless presentation, and highly targeted hyperlocal marketing.
And then we apply those exact same market dynamics to the homeowner who is entirely stationary. We proved that unmanaged equity is a massive blind spot in any wealth strategy.
Which means equity is not just a theoretical number you look at when you are packing a moving truck.
No, not at all.
It is a live, dynamic variable that dictates your financial optionality today. Whether you are actively allocating capital toward internal improvements or simply observing the external trends of your micromarket, your home is not a static shelter.
It is a leveraged financial instrument.
Yes. You need the unvarnished data of a zero-obligation valuation just to ensure your overarching financial strategy is grounded in reality. So to you, the listener, sitting in your house right now, your asset is working in the background, constantly being multiplied or divided by forces both inside and outside your control. You simply cannot afford to fly blind.
This raises an important question to walk away with, though. Well, if a property's value is constantly shifting, based on the ruthless selectivity of local buyers and the hyperlocal trends of the neighborhood. Is the true cost of homeownership really just the mortgage, the property taxes, and the maintenance? Or is the true hidden cost the active, ongoing intellectual attention required to fully understand the financial ecosystem you are living inside of?
Wow. If you aren't paying attention to the mechanics of that ecosystem, you are just staring at a crowded retail store, totally unaware of what anything inside is actually worth.
Exactly.
We will leave you to analyze your own micromarket. Keep observing the external trends, actively manage your internal value, and never guess your net worth.